Hi, welcome back to our channel. We regularly upload interesting videos on different stories. Today we will discuss a 2004 action-adventure fantasy movie called Van Helsing. Sit back, relax, and enjoy. In 1887, Transylvania and an angry torch-bearing mob stormed the castle of Dr. Victor Frankenstein, who had finally succeeded in bringing his famous monster to life. The mob is enraged by the doctor's attempts to reanimate the corpses of their fellow villagers and are about to break through the castle gates when Count Dracula suddenly appears and congratulates Frankenstein on his success. Dracula says it's a pity that the victor's moment of triumph is being spoiled over something as petty as grave robbery. He then asks where Victor intends to go, seeing that his peculiar experiments have made him unwelcome in most of the civilized world. Victor says he will take Frankenstein and flee to a place where no one will ever find them. The castle and laboratory Victor works in belong to Dracula, and the Count angrily tells him that he will be taking control of Frankenstein. Victor says he could never allow his creation to be used for such evil and calls out for his assistant Igor to help him. Igor refuses, stating that Dracula is his employer. Victor draws a sword, and Dracula intentionally impales himself on it, proving that he cannot be killed because he is already dead. Dracula bares his fangs and bites Victor, killing him during the commotion. Frankenstein's monster managed to escape from his restraints and attack Dracula, came into the fireplace. The monster flees the castle with his dead creator in his arms and heads towards a windmill. The angry mob spots them and gives way. Dracula emerges from the fire and quickly regenerates his burned skin. The villagers set fire to the windmill. When Frankenstein's monster emerges and screams, "Wipe them off!" Taken aback by the monster's seemingly human anguish, they momentarily halt their attack. Dracula and his three vampire brides descend on the villagers, causing them to flee in terror. The windmill collapses, and Frankenstein and his monster fall into the flames below, believing the monster to be dead. Dracula's wife laments his passing. 1 year later, in Paris, Van Helsing finds the corpse of a woman on the street. He turns and notices a humanoid creature, the perpetrator of the crime, rapidly ascending the cathedral, Notre Dame. Van Helsing enters the cathedral and finds Mr. Hyde, a murderer. He has been pursuing, on behalf of an organization called Knights of the Holy Order. Mr. Hyde backhands Van Helsing, and sends him flying, then traps him in a bell. But Van Helsing escapes by cutting through the floorboards, then chops off one of Mr. Hyde's arms with saws. He uses his weapons and Mr. Hyde grabs Van. He then grabs him with his remaining arm and throws him off the top of the Notre Dame Cathedral, but he manages to shoot a grappling hook through his chest and tries to pull him off the roof. Hyde uses his immense strength to pull Van Helsing up instead, but clumsily trips and transforms back into Dr. Jekyll as he falls to his death. The police find his corpse and call Van Helsing a murderer, oblivious that they are looking at the body of a murderous man. Mr. Hyde Van Helsing then travels to the Vatican City in Rome and enters a church in a confession booth. From Cardinal Jeanette, we learn that Van Helsing suffered from memory loss, supposedly as penance. For his past sins, the Cardinal suggests that if Van Helsing wants to regain his memory, he should continue his work hunting monsters for the Knights of the Holy Order. Cardinal Jeanette gives Van Helsing a new mission. He was to travel to the far side of Romania and eliminate Count Dracula 450 years ago. A Transylvanian knight named Valerius the Elder promised God that his family would never enter heaven until they vanquished Dracula. His descendant, Boris Valerius, went missing 12 months ago. So, if his only son, Prince Velkin, and daughter, Princess Anna, are assassinated, the entire Valerius bloodline will be doomed to eternal punishment in purgatory. Jeanette depicts Van Helsing in an old scroll given to the church 400 years ago by Valerius the Elder, translated from Latin. It reads, and quote, "In the name of God, I opened this door and it bears the same insignia as Van Helsing's ring." End quote. Jeanette says he might find some answers about his past in Transylvania. With Friar Karl, an eccentric weapon inventor for the Order's arms, Van Helsing armed with garlic holy water, a silver stake crucifix, and an automatic crossbow for his fight with the vampires, they set off on their journey through Transylvania. When Prince Velkin attempts to lure out and trap one of Dracula's wolves, using himself as the bait, the wind she is using to escape the werewolf gets stuck, but his sister gets out. Princess Anna rushes to save the werewolf that lunges at her, but falls into their trap. Velkin loses his gun before he is able to land a shot with silver bullets, and his men inadvertently shoot the ropes, holding the cage. Werewolf it crashes to the ground, escapes the cage, and chases Anna through the forest. She finds herself at a cliff with no escape. The creature leaps at her, but Velkin pushes her aside and shoots it. Both Falcon and the werewolf plunged off the cliff into the water below. Anna is shocked at the loss of her brother, Van Helsing, and Karl arrive in a small village in Transylvania. The villagers do not appear to take too kindly to strangers and appears and demands that they give up their weapons. When Van Helsing refuses, she orders the villagers to kill them. Suddenly, Dracula's brides swoop in to attack. Village one of the vampires carries on and off, but Van Helsing grabs onto her feet, unable to carry the weight of two people. The vampire drops them both to the ground. The black-haired Verona orders blonde-haired Mariska to kill Van Helsing. Van Helsing narrowly escapes her attack as sunlight momentarily breaks through the clouds. The vampires are forced to retreat into a well to avoid burning to death. The sky darkens and the vampires resume their attack. Red-headed Elira grabs Anna. She slices Elira's leg with a dagger, but is tossed to Verona, who tries to carry her away from the village. Van Helsing manages to land a shot on her ankle, forcing her to drop Anna. Anna seeks refuge in one of the houses in the village, but comes face to face with Elira outside. Van Helsing is knocked to the ground by Mariska losing his crossbow, and we see her take her human form. Verona also assumes her human form and joins Elira to antagonize and kill. Anna. Van Helsing manages to retrieve his crossbow and dips it in holy water outside the church. He riddles Mariska with arrows. Her sister sense that she has been killed, stop their attack on Anna and fly off. Mariska slowly disintegrates as a result of the holy water doused crossbow. Instead of congratulating Van Helsing, the villagers are angry that he killed Mariska. The town gravedigger says vampires only kill what they need to survive. 1 or 2 people a month. But now they will kill for revenge. Anna intervenes, and says Van Helsing's the first person to kill a vampire in over 100 years and thinks that's earned him a drink. Dracula emerges from his icy coffin, and scolds Verona and Elira for not killing him. He doesn't care that Mariska was killed, and says he will just get another wife. Dracula reveals that he is at war with the world, and that the final battle will soon begin. Dracula orders his servants called Waggy to travel to Castle Frankenstein to set his plan in motion. And it takes Karl and Van Helsing back to her castle and insists that they set out to hunt Dracula that night. Despite the dangers, Van Helsing sprays her with knockout spray because she refuses to wait until the morning when they can fight vampires more safely in the daylight. Hours later, Anna wakes up and hears a noise in her castle. She sees bloody paw prints and grabs her pistol. A werewolf appears, and she runs and hides behind a pillar. Unexpectedly, her brother, Vulcan, is standing behind her. She is happy to see that he is somehow still alive. Belkin says he does not have much time and needs to tell her Dracula's secret. But before he can tell her, he starts transforming into a werewolf. A full moon breaks through the clouds and he tells Anna to run. Van Helsing arrives in the werewolf falcon, leaps through the window and escapes. Van Helsing pursues him and has a clear shot, but Anna knocks his arm, causing him to miss. Van Helsing is furious, but Anna tells him that Dracula has a cure for werewolfism and she might be able to turn Welcome back into a human at Frankenstein's castle. Dracula and Igor attempting to recreate the doctor's experiment. The werewolf arrives and painfully transforms back into Welcome. Dracula's sword. He throws a burnt corpse onto the floor, and Belkin recognizes it as his missing father. He died during one of Dracula's experiments. Falcon has strapped into a chair as the next test subject. Dracula hopes that because he is now a werewolf, he will be able to survive, unlike his father. Van Helsing and Anna under Frankenstein's castle and discover egg-like sacs. They come to the conclusion that Dracula is duplicating Frankenstein's experiments to give life to his thousands of undead children. Using Belkin as a conduit, lightning courses through Falcon into the pods containing Dracula's offspring. Baby vampires begin to hatch and fly up to meet their mother. Thousands of them leave the castle to feed on the surrounding villages. Van Helsing starts shooting at them, which enrages Dracula, and he chases after him. Van Helsing launches a successful surprise attack, taking Dracula in the heart. However, Dracula does not die and greets Van Helsing like an old acquaintance, calling him Gabriel. In the meantime, Anna has made her way to Frankenstein's laboratory to try and save her brother. She is attacked by multiple Dragi but manages to dispatch them, and he sends a rope that leads to Belkin. Dracula pulls the silver stake out of his chest and tosses it on the floor. He asks Van Helsing how long it's been since they last met, 300 or 400 years. Van Helsing cannot remember ever meeting Dracula and doesn't know why he keeps referring to him as Gabriel. Anna reaches Valkan on top of the castle and tries to set him free. But the curse of the werewolf has set in and he is no longer the brother she wants. Now, Van Helsing attempts to use a crucifix on Dracula, but it has no effect in a nearby town. The vampire brides and their offspring are feeding on villagers. Carl manages to save one from being carried off. The vampire progeny suddenly start exploding. Vulcan was not a suitable conduit to reanimate them at Dracula's experiment has failed. Dracula hears the screams of his bereft wives and turns around. Van Helsing uses this moment to escape and meet Anna on the castle roof. He uses a grappling hook gun to create a zip line and traverses the chasm with Anna. Werewolf Falcon pursues them, but the additional weight causes the cable to snap and he falls into the water below. During their escape, Van Helsing and Anna pause to take a swig of absinthe. The floor gives away and they fall into a subterranean cavern back at Anna's castle. Carl mistakenly discovers a secret painting. When he reads the Latin inscription aloud, the characters on the painting begin to move and transform into a vampire and werewolf battling each other in the cave. Van Helsing and Anna discover that Frankenstein's monster has been hiding there. Van Helsing shoots the monster with tranquilizer darts. The creature says he is the key to his father's machine and that if Dracula finds him, he will be able to give lasting life to thousands of baby vampires. Anna wants to kill the monster to stop Dracula from using him, but Van Helsing stops her, saying they cannot kill it because it is not evil. The werewolf has been observing their conversation and speeds off to report Frankenstein's monster's location to Dracula. Van Helsing intends to take the monster to Rome for safekeeping en route to Rome. Alara attacks Van Helsing, but he fends her off. His carriage is speeding towards a broken bridge. The horses miraculously make the jump at the carriage falls into the precipice. Alara and Verona fly after it, attempting to save Frankenstein's monster. Verona is surprised to find that it is empty, and has been rigged with a stake bomb on impact. The explosion sends stakes flying which skewer and kill Verona. Van Helsing meets up with Anna, who is driving the carriage with Frankenstein and Carl inside. The werewolf attacks them, but Van Helsing manages to shoot it. Anna finds Vulcan in the forest. He asks her to forgive him, then dies from his silver bullet wounds. Anna is angry with Van Helsing for killing her brother. She sees that the werewolf but Van Helsing, so he now carries the curse. Alara appears, attacks Anna and flies off with her. Van Helsing, Frankenstein's monster, and Carl arrive in Budapest, where Alaric confronts them and offers them a trade. The monster for the Princess. Van Helsing tranquilizes the monster and hides him in a crypt before heading to the masquerade ball, where the trade is meant to take place at the ball. Dracula has Anna under a trance and is forcing her to dance with him. He says they make a lovely couple and proposes that she should become his next wife. Van Helsing and Carl sneak in and launch their attack, saving Anna from being bitten by Dracula. Unfortunately, Igor and some undead found Frankenstein's monster hidden in the crypt and bring him triumphantly into the ballroom. All the vampires of the ball attack, so Van Helsing does not have a chance to save the monster. One of Carl's inventions, a light-emitting bomb, comes in handy. They dive through the window, and Carl's explosive detonates, killing all the vampires. Pursuing them back at Anna's castle, Carl informs Anna and Van Helsing. The Dracula is the son of Valerius the Elder. He was murdered by someone, referred to as the left hand of God in 1462, and made a covenant with the devil to receive immortality. Valerius the Elder traveled to Rome to seek forgiveness and made a deal to kill Dracula in exchange for the eternal salvation of his family. However, he could not kill his own son, so instead banished him to an icy fortress, sending him through a door which had no return. Anna said her father spent hours staring at a particular painting, and Van Helsing believes it must be the door to Dracula's lair. Carl says he cannot finish reciting the incantation because the painting is missing a piece. Van Helsing pulls out the piece of old scroll he received from Cardinal Jeanette, and it fits perfectly. Carl finishes his recital, and the painting transforms into what appears to be a mirror. Van Helsing discovers that it's actually a portal to Dracula's castle. The three of them enter. Van Helsing uses his newfound werewolf strength to pick Anna and Carl up, and jumps up the walls into the castle. They come across a hall containing thousands of vampire pods. Igor absent-mindedly walks past them. Van Helsing uses one of his saw weapons as Ashura, Kenda, peg Igor to the wall before he can escape. They hear screaming and see Frankenstein's monster encased in a block of ice as the monster is hoisted towards the roof to be used as a conduit. He tells Van Helsing there is a cure for his werewolfism somewhere in the castle. Carl remembers the moving painting of the werewolf battling the vampire and deduces that only a werewolf until Dracula, which is why he keeps secure. Van Helsing will turn into a werewolf at midnight, so they plan to let him kill Dracula and inject him with the antidote. Igor is forced to lead Anna and Carl to the cure, but he locks them in the room. Alara appears and Anna pushes the jar containing a syringe with the antidote in it onto the floor. The liquid protecting the syringe is acid and it burns Alira's face. He uses some of the acid to melt the gate and Carl escapes with a syringe. Elira grabs Anna and throws her across the room. Carl attempts to get the syringe to Van Helsing, but his path is blocked by Igor. Van Helsing makes his way to Frankenstein's monster on the top of the castle and tries to set him free, but lightning strikes him and travels to the pods containing the vampire offspring. Dracula says he just needs one more bolt in his young will lift. Dracula sees Van Helsing attempting to free the monster and transforms into his true vampiric form. He knocks Van Helsing off the rooftop into the laboratory before he can finish. Bring the monster. Lightning strikes again and Dracula's progeny begin to hatch. The monster is struck again by a bolt of lightning that sends him flying over the edge of the roof. On his way down, he manages to grab onto a cable and knock Igor off the bridge where he's been chasing Carl with a cattle prod. Igor falls to his death. The monster swings through a window into the room where Anna and Elira are fighting back in the laboratory. The clock strikes midnight in. Van Helsing transforms into a werewolf and attacks Dracula as the monster holds Elira at bay, and I use a cable to swing to the left. On the way, Carl tosses her the antidote. Elira catches up with Anna and knocks her off the cable just before she is about to bite Anna. Carl throws her a silver stake and she kills Elira. The werewolf and Dracula continue to brood, but just when Van Helsing appears to have the upper hand, clouds cover the moon and he reverts to human form. Dracula says Van Helsing is the one who murdered him in 1462. He is Gabriel, the left hand of God. The ring Van Helsing wears belongs to Dracula. The clouds clear in, Van Helsing transforms back into a werewolf and bites Dracula's throat. Dracula disintegrates and his offspring all die too and arrives at the laboratory and tries to inject Van Helsing with the antidote. But the werewolf tackles her. Carl arrives moments later, armed with a silver stake, ready to kill Van Helsing. The werewolf grabs Carl's arm and we see that Anna managed to inject him with the editor. However, the werewolf killed and in the process he picks up on his body and house in anguish as he slowly transforms back to Van Helsing. Van Helsing and Carl hold a cremation for Anna on a cliff overlooking the sea. Frankenstein's monster sets off on a raft. Van Helsing looks to the clouds and sees an Esperit reuniting with her family in heaven. She smiles at him. Van Helsing and Carl ride off into the sunset. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell if you want to watch more videos like this. Adios.